In a forgotten corner of the world, nestled between emerald hills and whispering trees, there lay a quaint village where time moved a little slower, and the air carried the scent of stillness. There, a young man named Hero lived, a seeker of truth, a wanderer of the mind, whose heart thirsted not for riches or fame, but for wisdom. One day, destiny placed him at the feet of a Zen Master, a man revered not for how loud he spoke, but for the silence he taught others to hear. And Hero asked him, "Master, what are the things we should always keep to ourselves?" The old sage smiled, eyes calm as still water, and answered with a story of 7 things that must remain private, if you wish to walk the path of peace, strength, and clarity. Let us begin. The Zen Master's voice was gentle, but carried the weight of mountains. First, he said, guard your intentions like a flame in the wind. Never show them too soon. Intentions are like seeds, fragile, easily crushed by careless hands or stormy winds. When you share your intentions with others too quickly, you expose them to interference, judgment, envy, and doubt. The world, full of opinions, may dilute the purity of your purpose. People may not understand. They may laugh, criticize, or worse, plant their own fears in your fertile mind. A dream unspoken is protected. It has time to grow roots, to become strong enough to endure wind and sun. But a dream shared too early is vulnerable, not because others are evil, but because few will understand something that has not yet bloomed. The Master paused, looked at Hero, and added, the more quietly you walk, the more clearly you hear your own footsteps. Let your actions whisper your intentions into the world, not your words. Hero nodded, understanding now that the inner fire must be kept away from the draft of voices. He vowed to protect the sacred space where his dreams took form. Second, continued the Master, do not speak of your personal goals. Not until they are real. Goals are delicate bridges between who you are and who you wish to become. But when you declare them prematurely, you invite doubt, pride, and external validation to corrupt their purpose. Imagine planting a tree, then digging it up every few days to show others the progress of its roots. Would it survive? Would it grow? In the same way, speaking about your goals too soon can slow you down. The applause may make you feel like you've already succeeded, even before taking the first step. Or worse, the criticism may paralyze you before you even begin. There's a quiet power in silent progress. When you chase your goals in silence, you are free from judgment. You can adjust, adapt, and grow without the burden of expectation. Hero thought of all the times he had shared dreams too soon, and how they had withered in the noise. Master, he whispered, so I should act, before I speak? The Zen Master smiled. Yes, and let your results speak when you no longer need them to. The Master's tone softened further. Third, when you do good, when you give to others, do it in silence. Let your left hand not know what your right hand has given. True kindness expects nothing, no praise, no recognition, no echo of thank you. It flows from a place beyond the self. It uplifts, not the giver, but the act itself. Too often, people do good only when someone is watching. But this is not kindness, it is transaction. And in the spiritual realm, Transactions do not accumulate blessings, only ego. Hero recalled moments when he had done charity and waited silently for compliments. He realized now that the noblest giving is done not for reward, but as a quiet celebration of being human. To give, said the Master, and tell no one, is to understand the sacredness of giving. When we help others and keep it private, the act becomes eternal. It lingers in the spirit. It is no longer about the giver, it becomes about compassion itself. In the silence of an unspoken deed, the soul grows. Fourth, the Master said, whatever practice you follow, meditation, martial arts, prayer, or self-discipline, let it remain yours. Quiet, intimate, undisturbed. Practice is a conversation between your soul and the infinite. When you boast about your discipline, you dilute its sanctity. When you seek praise for your commitment, you betray its essence. Hero remembered the first time he learned to sit still and watch his breath. He had told his friends with pride, hoping they'd be impressed. But now, he understood. That pride had severed the connection. The practice had become performance. If you train your mind or body, the Master said, do it as if no one will ever know, and be content with that. Because the moment you crave praise for your practice, it is no longer practice, it is theater. Growth happens in silence. Enlightenment whispers, it never shouts. Fifth, the Zen Master said, his eyes suddenly deeper, heavier. Keep your family affairs private. Family is not perfect, but it is sacred, and in its struggles lie lessons meant only for the hearts involved. When we speak ill of our family to the world, we invite judgment into a sacred circle. And judgment, once inside, does not easily leave. Every family has wounds, but wounds need healing, not display. Sharing personal struggles out of anger or attention only adds salt to the scar. Hero lowered his gaze, remembering times he had complained about loved ones in moments of frustration. Protect your family's dignity, the Master said, not because they are perfect, but because they are yours. We must not let the temporary darkness within our homes become public lanterns for gossip. Instead, bring light to that darkness with compassion, patience, and silence. The home is a temple, and temples are cleaned in quiet. Sixth, the Master said, never flaunt your wealth. The world is a mirror. When you flash gold, you attract greed. When you boast of abundance, you invite envy, and envy is a silent poison. To walk humbly, even in fortune, is to walk wisely, because wealth can buy many things, but not safety from jealousy, nor peace from attention. Hero thought of the merchant in the village who wore his riches like armor. He was admired, yes, but also feared, envied, and targeted. Master, should we hide what we have? The sage nodded. Display only what serves a purpose, not what feeds your ego. Wealth is not evil, but its exposure can create disharmony, not because you intend harm, but because others project their desires and insecurities upon it. The quieter your fortune, the stronger your fortress. Finally, the Master stood. The breeze moved through the trees like a slow breath. And seventh, when you touch the divine, keep it in your heart. Spiritual awakenings are not entertainment. They are not trophies. They are invitations to become more, not to appear more. Hero looked puzzled. But Master, Shouldn't we share our experiences to inspire others? The master smiled gently. Inspiration does not always come from explanation. Sometimes, it comes from presence. When you speak of your highest moments, you reduce them to language. And language cannot capture the infinite. Worse, it can turn sacred experiences into ego stories, moments you cling to, retell, and perform. True spiritual growth makes you quieter, kinder, less certain, and more open. Keep your revelations close. Let them transform your life, not your reputation. In silence, they will flower. In speech, they may wither into memory. The sun dipped low behind the hills. Birds returned to their nests. The master's words lingered like incense in the air. Hero stood, bowing deeply. Master, how do I remember all this? The Zen Master pointed to Hero's heart. You don't need to remember. You only need to live. And in that still moment, Hero understood. Not all truths are meant to be shared. Some are meant to be lived. Quietly, deeply, reverently. The world tells us to speak, to post, to prove. But the soul, it thrives in silence. There is a quiet dignity in restraint, a sacred strength in privacy, and a timeless wisdom in things left unsaid. Hero walked away from the monastery, not with answers, but with space. Space to grow, space to feel, and space to become.